Hello guys, I am Dr. Devendra Mishra, working as Assistant Professor in Chemistry at Bidla Institute of Applied Sciences, right? Also running this Tetrahedron Chemistry Classes channel, and here are the links available to approach me. Hello friends, welcome back to the Tetrahedron Chemistry Classes. So guys, in today's lecture of organometallic lecture series, I am going to take a very important topic, and this would be my lecture number 12, and more specifically I am calling it as lecture number 12th A, because in this 12 series I will discuss the types of the reactions in the organometallic compounds. So what we will discuss in this series, reactions of organometallic compounds, organometallic compounds, right? More specifically, transition metal organometallic compounds. So we will discuss these reactions one by one. Okay. And in today's class, I am going to take a very important type of the reaction, right? And you may have the question from this particular topic in your CSIR net or in the GATE examination. Okay. And the name of the reaction is oxidative addition reaction. Oxidative addition reaction. Okay, and we will see all the details of these reactions, and after completing this particular section, you would be able to solve the various problems of your CSIR net and the GATE programs. Okay, so but what basically is the oxidative addition reaction? It is the insertion of the metal complex, insertion of the transition metal organometallic complex into the molecule, and that molecule may be your polar or maybe your non-polar, right? So basically it's an insertion of a metal complex into a molecule, which could be your XX. If it is non-polar, that is XX, and if it is polar, then it would be XY. Okay, so how we can write the general reaction in that case? Say for example, I am having this particular complex ln M, right, where Ln are the number of the ligands attached to the transition metal of your organometallic compound, and the coordination number could be anything in that case. Generally coordination number 4, square planar complexes are very prone to give oxidative addition reaction, but coordination number 5, right, trigonal planar structures, they also give actually oxidative addition reaction. And there are certain examples also in which your octahedral complex also give your oxidative addition reaction. So coordination number 4, 5 and 6, anyone can give the oxidative addition reaction, but coordination number 4 are more common in giving these kinds of the reaction. Okay, so I'm restricting my for time being I am restricting my study up to coordination number 4. So CN stands for the coordination number 4. It is say 4 in that case. Okay, and the oxidation state, say for example in that case, oxidation state of this metal, for example, you can take it is A actually. Okay, because I'm generalizing the reaction, that's why I'm giving you such kind of the notations. Okay, and say you are having this particular molecule XY, since this is the attacking reagent actually, right? In certain cases this could be the attacking reagent, in certain cases this could be the attacking reagent. Okay, so this is the XY molecule. Since two atoms are different, so I am dealing with the polar molecule, right? If there is significant electronegativity difference between these two, then it would be polar. Okay, and what would happen in that case? The product you will get, this transition metal complex will insert in between this X and Y. So what final product you will get? Ln M, and X is attached to this particular metal as well as Y is attached to this particular metal. So what would happen in that case? Generally coordination number would increase by 2 unit. If it is 4, then it would be 6. So the increase in the coordination number of coordination number by 2 is the hallmark of your oxidative addition reaction. But in certain cases you may observe the change in the oxidation. See, you may observe that there is no change in the oxidation state. No change in the coordination number during this oxidative addition reaction. Okay, and we will discuss those reactions also. Generally in oxidative coupling reactions, coordination number remain unchanged. Okay, and oxidation state, if it is A here, then it would be A plus 2 in that case. However, it is not always necessary that you will always achieve this kind of situation where your oxidation number gets increased by 2 unit. In certain cases, the increase in the oxidation number may also be 1 actually, and it happens when actually the oxidative addition takes place between the M metal metal bond type, metal metal multiple bond. In that case, actually the oxidation state increases only by 1 unit. I will discuss that particular example also. So this is the general reaction. Okay, now you can check the features. What are the different features of oxidative addition reactions? Features, or the salient features of oxidative addition reactions, right? So basically two hallmarks are there for the oxidative addition reaction. One is your increase in the oxidation state by 2 unit and the increase in the coordination number by 2 unit. Generally these two features are very important, but I'm going to discuss one by one. Say first point, increase in the oxidation state, that means delta oxidation state equals to 2. Change in the oxidation state to 2, but sometimes it may also 1. Okay, and second point, delta coordination number, change in the coordination number by 2 units, but sometimes delta coordination number equals to 0. That means there would be no change in the coordination number of the metal complex. So this is something very important. Okay, and then you can see here these are the two important features which you have to keep in mind. And one more thing which you can note down, whenever this oxidative addition reaction takes place, since the oxidation state is increased by 2 unit, so generally the electron count or the electron of the central metal would be decreased by the 2 units. Okay, this should be remembered. Okay, so these are the two important hallmarks for these reactions. And then there comes say requirements. Requirements of oxidative addition reaction. What kind of the species would undergo the oxidative addition reaction? This is another very important aspect, right? So first of all, you can see a first point which you will always keep in mind. We will require, say, metal in the low oxidation state. Metals in low oxidation state are more prone to oxidative addition reaction. Generally, say you may have the 0 oxidation state, you may have the +1 oxidation state, and in certain cases, not always, +2 oxidation state of metal can also give actually your oxidative addition reaction. So this is something very important. Why this happens actually? Because requirement is what? Metal should be electron rich. Metal should be electron rich, and you know that when oxidation state is low, that means very few electrons are lost from there. That means metal is still having the electrons in the d orbital. So electron rich metals are generally give your oxidative addition reaction. This is very important, right? First point, metal in the low oxidation state would be your electron rich, and these type of the species are very prone to undergo the oxidative addition reactions. Okay, then there comes the second point. Second point, your complex would be coordinatively unsaturated. Coordinatively unsaturated complex. These complexes are very prone to undergo oxidative addition reaction. That means square planar complexes. Square planar complexes. Right? You can take the example of your, say, Vasquez complex, right? And then your Monsanto complex, and then your Wilkinson catalyst. They actually all give this oxidative addition reaction. This is something very important. Okay, so what will happen actually, that two vacant sites would be there in the square, in the coordination number 4, and when two vacant sites are there, then it would be very easy for a metal to accommodate two extra ligand. Okay, so that's why it is very important. But in certain cases, octahedral complexes may also undergo the oxidative addition reaction. But before going the oxidative addition reaction, these octahedral complex must lose a ligand actually to give the coordinatively unsaturated complex. Otherwise, it would not be possible. Okay, and then you can see the point number 3, D8 and D10 configuration are needed. So whatever the complex is given, if they are having the D8 and D10 configuration, then your complex would undergo oxidative addition reaction. And this question actually they have asked in the 2014 NET examination, CSIR NET 2014. So they have asked this question in 2014. They have given you the different kinds of the combination D5, D10, D8, D10 and D0, D10, etc. They have given the 4 options and you have to select the correct one. So correct answer was just like that. D8 and D10 configuration would undergo oxidative addition reaction. Okay, it was a 2-marker question, I suppose. And one very important thing, if you have say point number 4, I can call it as D0 configuration. If your metal is in D0 configuration, then it would not undergo oxidative addition reaction. And they have also asked this particular question in CSIR NET examination. However, in the complex they have asked this particular question. I'll solve this question if the time permits later on in the lecture. So these are the features, these are the requirements. Okay, coordinatively unsaturated site, D8 and D10 configurations, electron rich metal with low oxidation state, right? And then you can understand one more thing which is very important. The factors affecting the rate of the reaction. First of all, you can see, so I can write factors affecting the rate of the reaction. Factors affecting the rate of reaction. So whenever I am calling this reaction, I am discussing the rate of the reaction, you should know a very important feature. These oxidative addition reactions are second order reaction. They are second order reaction. Since we are discussing the rate, then it is very important to know the kinetics of the reaction also. So what are those features, right? Number 1, what factors actually would affect the rate of the reaction? See, generally when say you are having the complex with coordination number 4 and you are having the complex with coordination number 6, so it is coordinatively unsaturated. So what is the meaning of the coordinatively unsaturated? Which is having the vacant site. It is having the 2 vacant site, but this coordination number 6 is not having the vacant site. So whenever this complex and this complex, right, say Vasquez complex, and in that case say you are having FeCO6 for example. Okay, if it is undergoing, I'm not saying that this particular complex would undergo this kind of the reaction, but I'm just assuming. Okay, so if you compare the rate of the reaction, obviously the rate would be higher for the coordinatively unsaturated site actually. So this is very important. Faster rate of the oxidative addition reaction would be observed for the complexes having the coordinatively unsaturated site, like Vasquez complex, Monzetto complex, Wilkinson catalyst, all these things. Okay, and then second very important point. See, I have already told you the metal should be the electron rich, right? When metal is the electron rich, then definitely these ligands would also play a very important part, right? Say for example, you are having these Ln, these M. If these ligands are EDG, electron donating group, that means if they are the sigma donor, right? If they are the donor one, so if these ligands are donor, they will donate the electron density to the metal, making the metal more electron rich, and when metal becomes more electron rich, then the rate of the reaction would be very high. So you will remember this particular complex. EDG will increases the rate of the reaction, while these ligands, if they are EWG, or you can see the pi acceptors, so they will decreases the rate of the reaction. So in case of the complex, if you are having the EDG, it will increase the rate of the reaction. If it is having pi acceptors, then they will decreases the rate of the reaction. This is something very, very important, which you should keep in mind always, right? And then the third point we may discuss in general, right? In general, I am saying steric hindrance decreases the rate of the reaction. Steric hindrance decreases the rate of the reaction. Okay, so what is the meaning of that? Say for example, you are having the viscous complex. Okay, and see, I'm not writing this viscous complex because I have written this viscous complex in my previous lectures again and again, and later in the lecture also I will discuss the formula of this also, but timing you can understand in that manner. This is the viscous complex, and you are reacting with some polar kind of the XY molecule, this viscous complex, and say you are having methyl iodide. Okay, and see, this is the first reaction, and in the second reaction, say you are having some bigger group like ethyl iodide, and in the third reaction, say you are having isopropyl iodide. So this is CH3, this is C2H5, this is a 3-carbon chain. Okay, so in that case, if say it is K1, it is K2, and it is K3, and of course you are getting your products. So in that case, where the rate would be the high, of course your K1 would have the highest rate, followed by the K2, and K3 would be the lowest rate, because steric hindrance would be higher in case of the 3-carbon when compared to the 1-carbon, right? So steric hindrance in general, I am not saying strictly, but in general it will decrease the rate of the reaction, right? This is something very, very important. Okay, and then you can go for the point number 4. Okay, so see, whenever you are say for example, generally if you are having your metal, okay, and it is having +1 oxidation state, and the same metal if it is having the +2 oxidation state, okay, and you are doing the oxidative addition reaction, M+1 and M+2, two metals are there, and you are having say XY molecule, and you are having the XY molecule, and you are doing the oxidative addition reaction, you are getting your product, in that case suppose it is K1 and it is K2, the rate of the reaction. So for which the rate of the reaction would be high. So I have already written here, metals in the low oxidation state would undergo very prone to undergo oxidative addition reaction. So if you compare the rate, so the metal which is in low oxidation state would have the higher rate of the reaction when compared to the metal which would be in the metal which is in the low oxidation state would have the higher rate when compared to the metal in the high oxidation state. So this is something very, very important to note that. Okay, this is the point number 4. Okay, so whenever you have the increased state of the higher oxidation state, so rate of the reaction would be slower. And one more important thing, see point number say 5. Metal must have stable higher oxidation state, right, by 2 unit than starting material. What is the meaning of that? Say for example, you are actually doing this reaction with this M+1 and you are doing your oxidative addition reaction and you are getting M+3. So this +3 should be the stable one for that particular metal. If it is not stable, then actually the rate of the reaction would be very, very slow, because this is not very stable. So this is another very important feature which you will keep in mind. Okay, I hope this is clear to you. And then you can see here, I'm giving you a very important thing here. Say this is group 8, this is group 9, and this is group 10. Okay, and you are having your iron group. So ferrous, FERUOS. I have actually already made a video to memorize these transition metal series. Okay, you can go through the tetrahedron by typing mnemonic to learn the transition metal series by tetrahedron chemistry classes. Then you will get that trick. Okay, and then you will have next group, the cobalt group, Komal Radha ka irada, that is cobalt, rhodium and iridium. And then you are having your nickel group, Nirash Pada PTI, and that is Pada means that is PD, platinum, PTI means platinum, palladium, then it is platinum. So in the group 8, they all are in the zero oxidation state. When they all are in the zero oxidation state, that means they have the D8 configuration. Okay, and this is the cobalt. Say this is +1, this is +1, this is +1. They are also the D8 configuration. They are also having the D8 configuration. And if they are in +2, the nickel family, then again they are the D8, right? So when you have this kind of the situation, then you can very easily remember this particular point. When you go down the group, right? When you go down the group, then actually the nucleophilicity of the metal increases. That means, right? Nucleophilicity, or you can also call it as basicity. Down the group, see, these are the general features. Basicity increases down the group. That means when you move down the group, metal becomes more electron rich. That means electron richness increases. Electron richness increases. So when electron richness increases, that means the rate of the reaction increases. So if you are doing the oxidative addition reaction for your nickel and for your palladium and also for your platinum, okay, right, and say you are reacting with all the species with the same kind of the molecule, say hydrogen, okay, and in all the cases you are getting your products. See, whatever the product will form, we will discuss in the later. Say it is K1, it is K2, it is K3. So for which complex the rate of the reaction would be very, very high? Of course, for K3 it would be very, very high, followed by the K2 and followed by the K1. Because when you move down the group, the electron richness increases. This is something very, very important. Okay, and then another very important aspect, if you are moving from here to here in that manner across the period, if you are moving, then the rate decreases. So downward arrow shows decreases. Okay, so if you move from here to here, the rate of the reaction decreases. As you know, when you move here to here, this will actually decrease the nucleophilicity of the metal, right? When the electron richness decreases, then the rate of the reaction also decreases. So this feature you have to always keep in mind. Okay, so these are the some of the factors. Now the mechanism. Okay, so I am mechanism of oxidative addition reaction. Mechanism of oxidative addition reaction. So guys, this is something very, very important which you have to always actually keep. You have to keep these things on your fingertips actually. So without this, it is not possible to solve the problems. So say if you have the non-polar molecule, right? Non-polar molecule, that means you are having say X kind of the molecule, right? And second thing, you may have the polar molecule like your XY molecule. So I'm not going to discuss the polarity and the non-polarity of the molecule, and I'm assuming that you know about the polarity and the non-polarity of the molecule. So whenever I'm saying the non-polar molecules, right? So in that case, in case of the non-polar molecules, you may have the different kinds of the structures. Like you may have your this XX like H2, okay. You may have your O2. See, Vasquez complex are known to bind with the H2, O2, HCl, etc. Okay, and you may have your halogen, chlorine, bromine, and iodine. Okay, and then you may have your C2H4, say ethylene, and you may have your C2H, sorry, ethylene, and C2H2, that is ethyl. Actually, these are the non-polar, but in certain cases, right, you may have the partially polar bond also. Say if you are having the CH4, so you can write actually the CH4 in that manner, CH3 and H. So there is slight difference, very little difference between the polar electronegativity of the carbon and the hydrogen. So this is very slightly polar. So this can also actually undergo these kind of the reaction, right? See, this can also show your oxidative addition reaction. And then say you may have the benzene ring also, a phenyl, and this benzene ring is connected with the hydrogen, it is partially polar. So you may have the non-polar species, you may have the very partially polar species, right? And when these species are there, then you have to keep in mind the mechanism of the reaction would be concerted. So concerted mechanism, I already told you, bond breaking and the bond formation takes place simultaneously. Okay. And when the concerted mechanism is there, then your three-membered transition state would be there. Okay. And in that case, when your non-polar species is undergoing oxidative addition reaction with your transition middle complexes, right, then stereochemistry of the product would be very important. So in that case, generally you have the cis addition. You will have the cis addition. So what is the meaning of the cis addition? Whatever the O2 molecule will go, so one oxygen will go in another direction, and next oxygen will actually form a bond of 180 degree with this one. So sorry, not 180 degree, 90 degree actually. It's a cis addition, not trans, it is the cis addition. So I'll discuss these points also. This is something very important. And if you have the polar kind of the species, you know what are the polar species? You may have your HCl, okay, and you may have your alkyl halide like methyl iodide, methyl bromide, methyl chloride, etc. In that case, SN2 mechanism would be there, right? However, in your general organic chemistry, if you have followed my video, I have explained that SN2 mechanism are concerted one, but this SN2 mechanism in case of the organometallics is not concentrated, so it would not be concerted one. And surprisingly, polar solvent, in that case, if the solvents are polar, if, so I missed that, if solvents are polar, then trans geometry or the trans product would be obtained. Trans geometry would be there. That is stereochemistry, right? So though I have writing again stereochemistry. So in case of the polar solvent, you will always have the trans product. So this is the trick which you have to keep in mind actually. Very important one. Okay, so how the things happens in that case, you can see I am discussing. See, however, the complete mechanism is not easy. It's very difficult, but it is enough if you know the little things about your mechanism of the reaction, right? So I'm saying mechanism, non-polar mechanism. Okay, so I'm discussing the non-polar mechanism. So what is happening in the non-polar mechanism, you can see here. So you are having this complex LNM, okay, plus you are having say non-polar molecule XX. You may have your H2O2, X2O, these types of the things, okay. So you will have sigma complex metal here. See, it was in zero oxidation state here. For example, right? Say if it is in zero oxidation state here, it is also here is in zero oxidation state. If it is 1, then again it is 1. If it is +2, then it is again +2. So I'm assuming it is in +1 oxidation state, and it gets bind with the X molecule through a sigma interaction. So this complex you will call as you will call this complex as sigma complex, right? And in that case, I have already told you the rate of the reaction, order of the reaction is second order. So if you want to know the rate, so that would be directly proportional to the concentration of your starting material into concentration of the X2. So it's a second order reaction, and same thing would be true in case of the polar species also. Okay, and from here actually you can conclude your stereochemistry of the complex also. How you can conclude the stereochemistry? Say say this is, I'm drawing this complex, this is M, and say this is X and this is X. Okay, so metal would have the d orbitals, and you know the d orbitals are G-rayed, so positive sign, and say this is negative, this is metal's d orbital, and they are having the electron. Okay, electron rich metals are there, so they must have the electron. And say this is anti-bonding molecular orbital of your X2 species, anti-bonding molecular orbital of X2 species. So what will happen? They will interact in that manner. Metal will donate electron to the anti-bonding molecular orbital. Okay, so when metal donates the two electrons to the anti-bonding molecular orbital, that means it will lose the 2 electron, that means increase in the oxidation state by 2 unit. This is also justified here. So this is actually the non-classical bonding mode. This is non-classical bonding mode, and you can see the transition state 1, 2, 3. It's a 3-member transition state. So I have written here already. Here 3-member transition state is there. So it is the requirement of this 3-member transition state that these X and X would be 6 in the transition state. If it is not cis, then the formation of this 3-member transition state would be very difficult. That's why the cis products are obtained. So again I am repeating the point, it is very important for the formation of this particular complex. By this is the donation of the electron pair to the anti-bonding molecular orbital of the X2 molecule. It is essential to form the 3-membered ring and 3-member transition state. And if this 3-member transition state is forming here, for the formation of this transition state, it is essential that these two would be in the cis position. That would ultimately result into the cis product. Okay, so this you have to keep in mind. Okay, and then this was the step number 1, and finally what would happen, say if it is the step number 1, so I am showing you the step number 2 here. So here this species L and M, X and X. Okay, so this bond would break, and you will have L and M. This is X, this is X. Okay, so this is -1, this is also -1, and obviously this would be +2 if it was 0. So this step actually, this particular step, this second step, in this step the breaking of this XX bond actually resulting in the strong strong back donation, right? Since 2 electrons are donated from metal to the anti-bonding molecular orbital of this here X2 molecule, and this step actually increasing the rate, increasing the oxidation state by 2 unit. So it is the second step actually is the oxidative addition step, right? And this is also explains the stereochemistry. Guys, so you have to keep in mind whenever you are dealing with this one, then you will deal this cis geometry of the product. When you are doing for the polar, then you will actually deal with the trans geometry of the product. So I'll discuss the polar later on. So first of all, I am discussing some examples of your non-polar mechanism. Okay, so how I can write the non-polar mechanism? So I'm starting the reaction with this complex, my iridium in the center, and then the chlorine, and then PPH3, CO, and again PPH3. So guys, this is my Vasquez complex, right? Triphenyl phosphine trans to each other, chlorine and carbonyl trans to each other, and you know very well in the Vasquez complex where iridium is in +1 oxidation state. So I am doing the reaction in the I am starting the reaction with this Vasquez complex, and you know it is square planar in nature, right? What is the structure for this one? It is square planar, coordination number 4. So all the requirements actually are meeting here. See, it is in lower oxidation state, that's why it is electron rich. It is square planar, right? That means, sorry, not square, it is square planar, but the important thing is that it is coordinatively unsaturated, because this side and this side, they are the vacant one. Okay, so how you can do the reaction with this one? I'm say first of all you are having the hydrogen, and you know this hydrogen is the non-polar, and you have seen that when you have the non-polar molecule, then these two hydrogens would be cis to each other. So what would be the product? Iridium. So you can put one hydrogen here. Sorry, it is not in the frame, so I am dragging the paper down, right? So this is hydrogen, this is hydrogen again, okay, and this is PPH3, triphenyl phosphine, and it is also your triphenyl phosphine, okay, and then your this carbonyl and the chlorine, okay. So since these two are forming the 90-degree angle, so this is the cis product. So what you are observing here, in the starting material your carbonyl and your chlorine, they were actually trans to each other, but in the product they are cis to each other. So this is the important feature of the reaction. Whenever you are doing your oxidative addition with non-polar molecules, then your chlorine and the carbon, they would be actually cis in the product, however they were trans in the starting material, okay. And of course in that case your iridium would have the plus 3 oxidation state, okay. So increase in the oxidation state by 2 unit, increase in the coordination number by 2 unit, and cis geometry of the product we are obtaining, okay. And say you may have another reaction. Say for example you are reacting this with oxygen, right? And you know the oxygen is what? Oxygen double bond oxygen. So in the product actually the bond order of oxygen would decrease. So you will have your product, say iridium, triphenyl phosphine and triphenyl phosphine, PPH3 and PPH3, okay. Your chlorine and your carbonyl, they would be cis to each other, however they were trans actually here. And then you are having your oxygen connected here, okay, and then you are having the oxygen connected here, and the oxidation, sorry, see, you know the bond order actually is 2, but here it is only 1, so you will connect with this like that, okay. So again it is in plus 3 oxidation state, fine. So this is something very, very important. And then you may think another reaction, like you are having your halogens, like you are having X2. So you may have your chlorine, you may have your bromine, right? You may have your iodine, right? So in that case again, you are having iridium, triphenyl phosphine here, and triphenyl phosphine here. This is chlorine, this is carbonyl, cis, and of course your X2. So you will put one X here and you will put another X here. They are forming 90-degree as they were forming the 90-degree here. So they are cis product, okay. So similarly you can do the variety of the reaction with this. Say another reaction I can write, if I am having CH2 double bond CH2. So this reaction is same as I did for this CH2 double bond as O2 O double bond O. So what you will do, you will put CH2 here in the product, right? So you will have, say, iridium, okay. This is triphenyl phosphine, this is another triphenyl phosphine, PPH3, sorry, connected with the phosphorus, and this is your chlorine, this is your carbonyl, okay. And then you are having your CH2 and another CH2 is here, and you can write in that manner. So again it is in plus 3 oxidation state. So all the requirements are meeting here. And then similarly you can do this reaction also. Say you are having your material CH triple bond CH. So in that case your iridium PPH3 PH3, your chlorine, your carbonyl, your CH and another CH. Since bond order actually decreased by the 1 unit, here bond order decreased by 1 unit, here also the bond order decreased by 1 unit. So here also the bond order would decrease by 1 unit. So triple bond is there, one would gone, and it will result in the double bond, okay. So again you can see starting material was square planar while all the planar were octahedral. This is something very, very important. And one important aspect which I want to tell you, see, if you draw the proper mechanism, then the transition state would be, see, I'm writing here, transition state would be TBP, trigonal bipyramidal. And in the trigonal bipyramidal, right, this this carbonyl and the chlorine, right, they are in these two, see, you can see here, this carbonyl will occupy the equatorial position because it is a pi acceptor. So if see, in the present case you are having the Vasquez complex, and say if you have the some other complex, you are having carbonyl here and you are having cyanide here. So out of these two, carbonyl and cyanide, which would go to the equatorial position in the trigonal bipyramidal stage, it will depend upon the pi acceptor nature. Higher the pi acceptor nature of the ligand, it will actually go to the equatorial position in the trigonal bipyramidal structure, and then it will come here actually in that case, and which will not undergo the here actually, and which will not actually which is not having the higher pi acceptor character, this will remain as such. So this is something very, very important. So trans CO and Cl, see this, in that case you are also observing these trans are actually becoming cis. So why I told you this TBP, because you may have the 2-marker question, what is the transition state in the non-polar mechanism of oxidation state. So you should know it is trigonal bipyramidal stage, and in that case the strong pi acceptor will acquire the equatorial position. This is something very, very important. That's why I put it CO here. If cyanide is there, then out of which cyanide or CO, which would be the stronger pi acceptor, it would acquire this equatorial position. Okay, this is something very, very important. So these are the reactions of the Vasquez complex for this and then I am giving you some another very important reactions also. Say you are having, say this is the reaction number 1. Now you are having the reaction number 2. You are having this product PPH2 connected with the PH2, and you are having platinum here and you're having the platinum here. This is the complex, and in that case, say platinum is in zero oxidation state, and you want to react this with methane CH4. So I told you this carbon hydrogen bond is partially polar actually, and you may treat it as non-polar. So you will not add CH4 as such, you will add CH3 and hydrogen to the complex. So what would be the product in that case? PPH2, just like that, and you are having platinum here and platinum here, and you will put hydrogen here and CH3 here in that case. Okay, in both the cases, you know, it is -1, it is -1, so it would be in the +2 oxidation state. Okay, the coordination number as well as oxidation state both are increasing. This is another very, very important example. Okay, and then I'm giving you, say, one more important example. Say I'm having my Wilkinson catalyst. I hope you are aware about the formula of the Wilkinson catalyst. Say this is rhodium and this is triphenyl phosphine. This is again triphenyl phosphine, and this is again triphenyl phosphine, and you are having the chlorine here. Of course, the rhodium is in +1 oxidation state. This is Wilkinson catalyst. Okay, and this is, you are reacting with this hydrogen. So what would happen in the product? What product would you obtain? Obviously the cis product would obtain, because it is non-polar one. In case of the non-polar molecule, you will have the cis product. Okay, so what you can do, you can write rhodium here. Okay, and then say this is your triphenyl phosphine, this is another triphenyl phosphine, and you can put hydrogen here and you can put another hydrogen here. So these two are again at 90-degree angle, so this is the cis product. Okay, and this is PPH3. So this is the product, right? And of course it is in +3 oxidation state because it is -1, it is also -1. Okay, so see, if you don't know if you don't know how to predict the angle, so I have made a lecture in the coordination chemistry where stereoisomerism in the coordination compound, and there I have explained all the things. So you can, what you can do, you can go through the tetrahedron chemistry classes. So you can type in the YouTube stereoisomerism in coordination compounds by tetrahedron chemistry classes. So you will get the result, and you have to, and then you will know how to actually predict. So I am telling you this angle is the 90 degrees. So they are cis in nature. Okay, and one more important thing in that case, you know, see, in all the cases, see, it is iridium, and these complexes are also of all complexes which are resulting due to the oxidative addition reaction. They are actually the complex of the iridium. Similarly, this is rhodium complex. This is also the rhodium complex. So if you want to know the nature of these complexes, magnetic behavior, so all complexes would be diamagnetic in nature. Like it is low spin diamagnetic. Low spin diamagnetic, as you know, second and the third transition series, right? This I have already told you. Say you are having this one. So see, high spin and low spin concept is only restricted to the first transition series, while for second transition series, in all the cases you are having the low spin complexes. That means the diamagnetic. Okay, generally. So not diamagnetic always. You may have the paramagnetic also, but the number of the unpaired electron will not change. But in that case, I am telling you it is diamagnetic, low spin, because it is not having any unpaired electron. So it will not, it will also, the product will also not have any unpaired electron. So it would also be diamagnetic, right? So these are the some very important reaction. So this actually you have to keep in mind. I know the length of the lecture is increasing, but certain things are very important to actually tell you. And see, there is another reaction which actually you might confuse that whether it is oxidative addition or not. So you can write, you can understand that reaction also. Say you are having tetrachloroplatinate 2, PtCl4 2 negative, and you are reacting with this Cl2. It's a non-polar, and you are having your product PtCl6. Okay, and again 2 negative. So you know it is in +2 oxidation state. Here it is in +1 oxidation state. So it is electron rich. It is electron rich, and it is non-polar. And so again it is the example of your oxidative addition reaction. So you have to keep in mind, if you have the D8 system, then for the D8 system, your say +1 and the +2 oxidation state generally are there in the square planar nature, right? And they will undergo the oxidative addition reaction. If you have the D10 system, D10 systems are there in the trigonal planar structures, right? D10 system, see, if I am saying the D10 system, so trigonal planar, okay. When trigonal planar structures are there, like your palladium 0, platinum 0, so they can also actually prompt to your oxidative addition reaction. Very important. Okay, so these are the very important one. Now I will discuss those oxidative addition reactions which generally people don't discuss in their lectures, but they are also oxidative addition reaction, and they are very important for your examination point of views also. So I am discussing oxidative addition of 5 coordinated system. 5 coordinated 18 electron complex. I'll discuss these. Okay, I'll discuss these examples also. Say for example, I'm having this particular complex Fe CO and CO. This is 5 coordinated system. Okay, of course iron is in 0 oxidation state in that case, and it is trigonal bipyramidal structure. Okay, and it is 18 electron species, right? Iron contributes 8 electron, and 5 carbon will give you the 10 electrons. So it's an 18 electron species. So it is not coordinatively unsaturated, but it is electron rich actually, right? But it is not octahedral also. So in that case, what will happen? First if you heat this particular complex, it will lose the one FeCO and it will give you one CO it will lose and it will give you FeCO4. Okay, so now this would be the square planar structure with 16 electron species, right? 16 electron species now it becomes, right? Because you have removed 2 electron from there. Okay, and when you do the reaction with the iodine actually, so iodine, you know, I2 is the non-polar, and you are doing oxidative addition reaction. So what product would you expect? 2I in the cis positions. Okay, that means at 90 degree to each other. Okay, and then all the CO. So this would be the product. So 5 coordinated species can also undergo such kind of the reactions, and you may try one more example by your own. I'm giving you the example. Say you are having osmium L2 CO whole thrice. Say you're having this one. So you can do the reaction by this also. Okay. So this is something very, very important. But you have to keep in mind when you are having the octahedral, but not always the octahedral. If you have the 5 coordinated species, then you have to remove one of the CO. You may find the example of your 6 coordinated complexes also, right? And then another, see, I have told you earlier, generally these reactions, these oxidative additions are actually accompanied by the increase in the oxidation state by 2 unit. But I am giving you the some example. Say you are having this complex CO CN5. It is pentacoordinated, guys, right? It is 3 negative, okay, and you are taking the 2 of this, so it is in +2 oxidation state. And if you react this with RX, this is polar, okay, then it may result in the 2 complexes RCO CN5. This is again, you can see if you put 3 negative there, so cobalt would be in +3 oxidation state because alkyl group will provide -1 actually, okay. And then you may have another complex CO CN5 and your X, like that, okay, and you are having 3 negative there. So in that case, this is again in +3 oxidation state. So it is going from +2 to +3. So change in the oxidation state is only +1. So these are the certain species, you know. This is D7 system, okay, it is 17 electron system, and here it would become D6 system, and this is 18 electron, okay, and oxidation state is +3. I already told you when oxidation number increases, then the number of the electron count would decrease. So oxidation state increased by 1 unit, so the electron count would decrease by 1 unit. So these are the important things which you have to keep in mind, okay. And then another very important reaction which comes under the category of your oxidative addition reactions, and I'm discussing this reaction also. And number 3, intramolecular oxidative addition reaction, and you can also call it as cyclometallation, okay. And another name is what? Orthometallation. So by any name you can call it, right? So what happens actually in these reactions, you can see here. Say you are having your say Vascas complex, and you know your Vascas complex is what? IR CO Cl PPH3 whole twice. This is your Vascas complex. How you can write this Vascas complex in an alternative manner? Say in the center you are having your iridium, and you are putting 1 chlorine here, and you are putting 1 carbonyl here. They are trans in the Vascas complex. And say this is your PPH3 triphenyl phosphine, and another triphenyl phosphine you are having P, and I am writing PPH2. You know the PH stands for this benzene, this phenyl, okay. This is pH. So next, actually phenyl I am writing in that manner. Okay guys, just like that. And you know this, at this ortho position you are having the hydrogen. So what happens actually, the electron rich metal, right, and this hydrogen which is ortho in this particular position, they actually interact. So agostic interaction takes place between this iridium metal and the hydrogen. So I hope you know what is the agostic interaction. See, agostic interaction actually describes the particular structure in which the hydrogen atom, which is bonded to the carbon, in this case carbon, but it may also bonded to the silicon, right? So agostic interaction describes the structure where the hydrogen atom is bonded to the hydrogen or the silicon atom and a metal atom, okay, in a three-centered two electron interaction. So center, how many centers are there? You can see 1, 2, right, and 3. So it's a three-center two electron bond. So in the agostic interaction, you should remember this particular point. It is three-center two electron bond. Okay. So this is the agostic interaction which actually takes place, and finally the change in the bonding would occur. Change in the bonding would occur, and this hydrogen will migrate over there, and this carbon will form bond with this iridium. So what would be the product? Iridium, this hydrogen will migrate here, just like that. You can write your triphenyl phosphine in that manner, and your PPH2 in that manner, okay, and you are having your phenyl just like that, okay, and this carbon will form bond with this one. So this is the product, okay. So this is actually a cyclometallation reaction or orthometallation reaction. It is also a type of the oxidative addition reaction, because in that case also the oxidation state of this increased by the 2 unit. Okay, so here the oxidation state is +3, here is actually the +1, right? And this is something very, very important, right? And in that case, you can see here this coordination number, you can see it is not actually increasing by the 2 unit. This is something very, very important, okay? Or you can check the structure by your own also. However, later if the time permits, I will discuss such kind of the reactions also, okay? And then there comes another kind of the reaction, oxidative addition to the metal-metal bonds, or metal-metal bond, okay, metal-metal bond. Number 4, oxidative addition to metal-metal bond, okay. So these reactions actually you can take just like that. Say you are having your tungsten, you are having triply bonded tungsten here. So guys, sorry for the disturbance. Actually, I'm shooting this video from my residence only. So actually lots of children are roaming here and there and they are shouting. We cannot control them actually. So please cooperate, okay? So this is say Cl, this is Cl, this is Cl also. And you're having the 1 Cp here, not chlorine, it is Cp, okay, cyclopenta di. This is Cl, this is Cl, and you are reacting this with say HX species. It is polar in nature, okay. So when they are polar in nature, the geometry would be the trans. So what would happen? Tungsten, double bond tungsten, and your Cl, Cl, Cp, and then your Cp, Cl and Cl, and these this H and X, they must be trans to each other. So it will form the X will form the bridge in that manner, and H will also form the bridge in that manner. So it is also the oxidative addition reaction, okay, but in case of the polar molecule, okay, and in that case the bond order decreases by 1 unit. Similarly, you can do the reaction with some other examples also. You can find lots of example in your textbook. I am not actually doing all the reactions here. And finally, in the non-polar mechanism, I am doing a very, very important reaction actually. And actually these reactions generally people don't cover in your oxidative addition reaction, but I am doing this, right? So oxidative coupling, So I'm calling it as oxidative coupling. So in that case, actually see, this is the example I have already told you. See, generally the coordination number increases by the 2 unit in the oxidative addition reaction, but there are certain reaction in which the oxidative coordination number will not change. So these are the reaction in oxidative coupling. No change in coordination number. No change in coordination number. Okay. So I'll give you the one or two examples for this. Say one, you are having ln m and you are having one double bond here and one double bond here, and you want to the product for this one. If you want the product for this one, so it is easier to write in that manner. So what I do, I say 1 2 3 4 and 5. So how many members are there? 5 members are there. So in the product you will have ln metal in the 5-membered ring, and you will form this 5-membered ring. 4 carbon, 1 2 3 4 and 5th is the metal. 4 carbon, 1 2 3 4 and 5th is the metal. It is the oxidative coupling. Okay, and bond order decreased by 1 unit. Similarly, you can take this example also. So you are having ln m, okay, and you are having, say, this say one R here and another R here and one R here and another R here. So you are having this example and you are doing this oxidative coupling for this one. So again, what you can do, so this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5. So 5-membered ring. So you can write ln, metal in is in the 5-membered ring, and you can form this 5-membered ring here. Okay, and all carbons are having R, alkyl groups. Okay, and here bond order 3, so it would remain 2. Here bond order 3, it would remain 2 here. So these are the examples of the oxidative coupling. And in your textbook, see, if you go through your textbook, then in the Ajay Kumar you can find the various examples of these, right, where some NMR spectroscopy is also discussed in that case, where actually the hapticity also changes. So I'm not going to see, because the length of the lecture has increased too much, so I'm not discussing those examples here. And you know, these oxidative coupling is not only limited to the alkene or alkyne also. It may also, you may do also this oxidative coupling with the say carbenes also, right? If you may have this particular example, say you are having particular metal with the carbene. So I am writing Cr2 here and you are having the alkene. Okay, so in that case also you can see 1 2 3 and 4 4-membered ring is there. So and here you are doing the oxidative coupling, so you will write in that manner, 4-membered ring, and both carbon having the same alkyl group, so you can write R and R. So bond order decrease by 1 unit, bond order decrease by 1 unit. So you can do in that manner also. So if you want to learn more things, then you can go through your Ajay Kumar book. That book discussed the various examples. Okay, now I'll discuss the next examples. That means SN2 mechanism in case of the polar molecule. SN2 mechanism in case of polar molecule, right? Like XY molecule. Okay, I'll discuss. Okay, so these SN2 reaction I already told you, they are not concentrated. However, they are second order and they are affected by the polar solvent. So in these cases, what would happen? Say you are having LNM. So metal, electron rich metal is there, and you are having CH3I. You know the alkyl halides are very prone to undergo the your SN2 reaction, right? And since it is controlled by the steric hindrance, so I am taking this primary alkyl halide, or the special case of the primary alkyl halide, that is methyl iodide. If you increase the steric hindrance, then the rate would decrease. You should remember this particular point. So this lone pair will attack on this carbon. Okay, so in that case this is attacking reagent. Okay, and you are having this transition state where I will start actually will start breaking bond with this carbon, and your LNM will start making bond with this carbon, and rest of the 3 hydrogen would go in that manner. So it's a 5 coordinated transition state, 5 coordinated transition state. And after that, what would happen? This I will remove as the leaving group. It's a better leaving group, you know. So I can write LNM because metal has shared electron in the formation of the bond. So it would experience the electron deficiency. I am putting positive here. Then CH3 I am writing here. And I actually has left as the leaving group. So it is I negative. Okay. And in the last step, what would happen? This I negative will attack on this electron deficient metal. And then you are having your Ln M CH3I. Okay, but remember the point, then CH3 and I would have the trans geometry. So if metal is there and your ligands are there, so your CH3 would be here and your I would be here. So they will form the bond angle of 180 degree trans to each other. Okay, so in that case, see, since in the you can see here in this transition state, right? So these two are actually opposite to each other, right? So however, see, exact mechanism is quite difficult. Okay, so you can do such reactions by your own. So I'm giving you the only one example for this one. Then I'll discuss one or two problems of your CSIR net examination. For example, you are having your Vasquez complex. You are having IR, ClCO, your triphenyl phosphine, that is PPH3, your triphenyl phosphine, that is PPH3, and you are reacting with this CH3Br. So what it would result? IR here, what I am doing actually, IR here, my CH3 is here, my I is here, my Cl is here, and my CO is here, and my PH3P and my PH3P. So this is the trans product because these two are trans to each other. And one more important thing which you are observing here, in the case of the non-polar cases, these carbonyl and the chlorine which were trans in the Vasquez complex was cis in the product, but in that case it is not changing the stereochemistry. So whenever you are dealing with the polar molecules for this oxidative addition reaction, then in case of the polar molecules, of course the trans geometry would obtain, but the trans nature of the carbonyl and the chlorine would not change. This is the big difference between first your polar and the non-polar mechanism. This is something very, very important, and with the help of this you will solve the problem of CSIR net examinations also. Okay, so but remember, a solvent plays a very, very important role in that case. Generally polar solvent accelerate the rate of the reaction. And one more thing, if I are doing the reaction with this one, say CH3 Cl, CH3Br and CH3I. So, and you are doing this reaction with this, then what would be the rate of the reaction? Of course, the rate of the reaction would be highest for CH3I because I is the better leaving group. This you have to keep in mind. Basic organic chemistry you have to keep in mind. So this is all about your these reactions. Now I'll discuss very quickly. I'll discuss few problems of CSIR net. Okay. And what are those problems? Say I'm discussing the problem asked in the 2012 CSIR net 2012. Say in that case actually they have given you the different kind of the complex. They have given you the complexes like you have RH, CO whole twice, I2. I hope you know what is this. What is this? This is Monsanto catalyst or Monsanto reagent. Very important one. They have given the one this particular complex, and then they have given you your Vasquez complex. So I'm not writing the name, Vasquez complex. And number 3, they have given you the eta 3 CP RHCO whole twice, right? And then they have given you the next complex eta 5 CP2 TI MECL, right? So guys, I'm not going into the very much detail of these reactions, these details of this question, but because I have already explained these things in my LL lecture, so I am telling you all these species are 16 electron species. Monsanto, Vasquez complex, or whatever they have given actually. right? So and see, all are having the coordination number of 4, so they are scarpiner also. So they you might have confusion actually, right? You may have the confusion which one is the correct answer. So you have to check the oxidation state. It is in +1 oxidation state, rhodium is here. In Vasquez complex, it is also in +1 oxidation state. Here rhodium is also in +1 oxidation state. But in that case, you know, the titanium is in +4 oxidation state. How? See, one for this one for this one, and one for this one, right? So 2 Cp are there. So -1 minus -2, -3, -4. And when you calculate the oxidation state, it will come the +4. So it is not electron rich. And what is the configuration of titanium +4? It's a D0 system. And I already told you D0 system will not undergo the oxidative addition reaction. So your correct answer is the 4th one. Okay, so this you have to keep in mind. Okay guys, so this question actually they have asked in your 2012 examination, and then say 2014 examination, right? 2014 December, CS IR net. So what was the question? The compound that undergoes oxidative addition reaction with hydrogen. So they have given you the different complexes. So they have given you the MnCO5 negative. They have given you this particular complex, and then they have given you eta 5 Cp MoCO whole thrice with negative over there. They have given you this particular species. And then see number 2, number 3, they have given you the Vasquez complex. Vasquez complex. And in the number 4, they have given you eta 5 Cp ReH. Right, they have given you these species. So what you have to do, you have to actually find the electron system. Actually 16 electron systems are there. So in that case 5 2s are 10, and manganese contributes 7, 10 plus 7 17, and 1 electron, 1 negative charge is there. So it's an 18 electron system. So if it is an 18 electron system, it cannot give your oxidative addition reaction with hydrogen. Okay, similarly if you count the electron for this one, it is again 18 electron system. So I am not counting, you can do by your own. Only Vasquez complex is the 16 electron species. So this is the correct answer. Vasquez complex is the only 16 electron species that will give you the oxidative addition reaction. Okay, and 2014 problem I have already discussed, and now I am discussing another problem, say net 2017 June CSIR net problem. So what they have asked actually, say they have given you the Vasquez complex. Okay, and in this Vasquez complex, they are reacting this Vasquez complex with CH3I. Okay, so they have what product would you actually expect in that case? They have given the 4 options to you, and you have to identify the correct one. Okay, so what options they have given? They have given, say this one, this is your iridium, this is CO, and this is CO, this is PPH3, this is also PPH3. Since you are doing the trans addition, right, this is polar one, so you can put CH3 over there and I over there. So they have given you this option. So it seems the correct one. Okay, but along with this one, they have given you this particular complex also, iridium, where they put CH3 and I in that manner, and rest of the groups are already there, but these two are cis, so this cannot be your answer. Okay, and similarly they have given you the option number 3, where again they put these two are in the cis position, right, I and CH3, and they change the positions of the other group, but this will not make sense actually. And finally they will give you this number 4 option. Say then this was your iridium, this is CO, and this is Cl. Okay, and then they have put it PPH3 here and PPH3 here, and this is CH3I and CH3I. So this first and fourth actually, this fourth one is quite confusing. Why? See, this is trans, these two are trans, and here also these two are trans. So you may have the confusion which one is correct, but remember, whenever you are doing the oxidative addition reaction with the polar molecule, the stereochemistry of the starting substituent will not change. So here you can see in the starting material in the viscous complex, you know, these two are, sorry, one would be the chlorine, very sorry. One would be the chlorine. Okay, in the viscous complex, this chlorine and the carbon actually they are trans to each other, but they are showing cis here because it is 90 degree. So this cannot be the correct answer. The correct answer is what? 2017, this particular example. Okay, so you may have this kind of the confusion. And then actually, so guys, this is my last problem, and this problem has been asked in the CSIR net June examination 2018, right? And what was the, see, they have given a reaction, iridium, this is chlorine, and 3 triphenyl phosphines are there, PPH3 and PPH3, right? And it is in +1 oxidation state, you all know, right? It is not the viscous complex, but it is a type of the viscous complex, and they have heated this particular complex with the decalene, right? Decalene they have actually used, and they have produced this product. They have put it hydrogen here, and they have put it PPH3 in that manner, and PPH3 here, and they have put it chlorine here, and then they made this, and at this position they are having the PPH2, they connected with this one, right? So it's you know, it's an intramolecular oxidative addition reaction I have explained just earlier. Say and this is orthometallation reaction basically. So they have given you the different statements. So statement number 1 was just like that: oxidation state of iridium increases from +1 to +3. Okay, it is quite possible. So this is the correct statement. Okay, and then the statement number 2 they have given, it is beta hydride elimination. You know, it's a oxidative coupling, so it cannot be your beta hydride elimination reaction. And statement number 3, they have given first and second, right? Say if this is first, if this is second, they both are diamagnetic. So this seems correct. You know, the second and the third transition series always form the low spin diamagnetic complex. So it is diamagnetic, it is also diamagnetic. So this seems correct. And number fourth statement they have given, it's a migratory insertion reaction. Migratory insertion reaction, right? You know, it is oxidative coupling, it is not migratory insertion reaction. And then they have asked which one is the correct. So they have given you the one. Say statement 1 only is the correct answer. Then option B, they have said statement 1 and 3 are correct. Statement C, they have said the statement 3 and 4 are correct. And statement D and option D, they have said 2, 3 and 4 are correct. So you know, the first and third are correct. So option B was the correct answer. Okay, so in this manner you can solve the various problems of your CSIR net. So lecture is quite lengthy, but it is quite interesting, and it may give you the questions in your examination also. And I have covered this topic in very much detail, right? No one else has covered this my oxidative addition reaction in such detail actually. Okay, so that's it for today, guys. Thank you very much.